This is Jericho, and earlier this year I did an unboxing video about a Sawnoff double-barreled blaster, a Mad Max style Sawnoff shotgun that ejects shells. And now I've finished it, I've completed it, and I have painted it. It is all its post-apocalyptic glory. But I've actually done the paint job so it matches up to the Blade Runner universe. I've given it a Blade Runner type of makeover, so it looks like it's related to the Blade Runner universe instead. Well, it came with 6 shells, and that's not enough. I needed more shells. I just wanted to have more shells to go with it, so when I'm filming on location I can film the actors reloading it and so forth and taking shells out of the pouch on the belt. So I bought myself another one just to get more shells. I mentioned in the other video, what if this was to be turned into a Sawnoff of a Sawnoff? There are several movies out there where people have used really cut down Sawnoff shotguns with really short barrels, and I thought that would look interesting if it was like that. So that's what I've gone and done.
Right, so I've opened up the blaster. Let's take a look at the insides and how it all works. So there's a Y-shaped piece there with 2 tubes on the inside that lead to the 2 breeches there. So there's one spring piston and the selector switch there. So there's holes on the inside, so yeah, you can actually see the holes there. That is for the selector switch to select the left and right barrels, and when it's in the middle it fires both. So I figured if I put a tiny bit of super glue in there, that's a pretty tight fit, that's like an airtight seal in there. So if I put some super glue in there, when I seal it back up again, I'll get some 2-part epoxy resin and block up this groove here and the same on this side to keep that centralised, to stop it from moving left and right, so it stays in the middle and fires both barrels at once permanently. So it will fire both barrels all the time, because then it will be an actual Nerf hand cannon. That's the definition of a hand cannon. Here's the barrels. I've marked off with masking tape where I'm actually going to cut it. This is the internal mechanism, the spring-loaded thingamajig that ejects the shells. That's for that bit there. That's what ejects the shells. Yeah, I've still got spray paint on my fingernails from last week's spray painting when I'd painted the other one. So I've marked off with a marker where I'm actually going to cut it with the hacksaw. To shorten these barrels down, I'm literally cutting the length of this in half, so it's going to be a Sawnoff of a Sawnoff. So that will be interesting. Alright, so that's the forward grip. I've cut the end off that. They're the end pieces. So I measured it, the 5th groove from the front, and cut that off with a hacksaw. That whole front piece there can be filled in with putty. What I'm going to do is just fill it in and then hit it with a belt sander to round it off. So when it's completed, this will have a rounded underside. So it ends up kind of like that-ish. So it will be rounded at the front. So that entire area forward of that screw will be filled in. So that's that. This is the top rail. I've cut off the end piece. I just cut that bit off. And hit that with a belt sander to round off the end. It actually needs to be on there, believe it or not. The breech of the blaster is held in place by the Picatinny rail. that holds the breech in place entirely. When that goes on, when that is on, that actually holds the breech in place, so you actually need that on there. You can't take it off permanently, but I will fill in the gap there with resin putty as well. So that entire groove will be filled in with putty and then made to measure, so when that goes on, it'll be, you know, a flat finish and not a gap there, so that gap will be filled in. Front of the barrels, I did kind of go a bit wonky. When I put the masking tape on, it wasn't quite in a straight line and it was a tad wonky, so I hit it with a belt sander and I made it kind of more symmetrical because it was sort of slightly angled. So I did the other barrel to try to match it up in the opposite direction, so I tried to make it symmetrical, so it's kind of, yeah, you can actually see where it's kind of wonky. No one's going to notice, no one's even going to see that it's ever so slightly wonky. And here's the bit I cut off. So laying them down, you can see how much I cut off. So the barrel is now just under 4 inches. I cut off 3 inches off the barrel, and the actual barrel that's left is now like 3.5 inches, so that's practically halfway. So when I put this back together, this is going to be insanity. I mean, this is going to take the word hand cannon to a whole new level of insanity, and it's going to make Ash Williams jealous as hell, because this boomstick really will be a boomstick of a hand cannon. No, hang on. It's going to be a hand cannon of a boomstick. No, it's going to be a mega boomstick of an ultra uber hand cannon. Did I just invent a new thing? I don't know. I'll have to discuss this in depth with Captain Xavier and Welcome S7 and Coop 228, or is it 882, and see what they think of this when this is put back together again. We'll have to invent a new word for what this actually is, because I can't think of one to describe it. I think I may have crossed the line with this one. I think I may have gone like to a whole new level of insanity in the Nerf community. I'm going to need to consult all the gun associations in the world. I'm going to need to consult the Jedi Order. I'm going to need to consult the entire post-apocalyptic nightmare of the Mad Max universe. I'm going to need to consult the entire Nerf community on YouTube. I'm going to need to consult the browncoats. I may even have to take this to the top and go all the way to the Seawinators to discuss this one. What the hell have I done? What have I done here? This is just crazy. There's the original barrel. That's where the original barrel came to. That is what I've done. It's some kind of masterpiece. It's some kind of level of insanity I don't know the word for. Ash Williams is gonna have either wet dreams about this or end up in an insane asylum, whichever comes first. Yeah. I don't even know what this is called. There isn't a word invented in the community to describe it. It's a whole new thing. Yeah, I've seen things like this in movies in the past. There have been a few movies where people have used really short barreled Sawnoff shotguns. And I saw a documentary on YouTube about this a few years ago about a really short Sawnoff. And this is like literally the Nerf equivalent. When I filled in that empty hole in the forward grip and rounded that off, the belt sander, then I can start painting it. I think I might, yeah, I'll reserve some putty to put in the sides, each side of this switch, so that it stays in the middle, so it fires both barrels all the time. How's it looking? You can literally see the darts in the breech down the barrel, so not intimidating at all, is it? When if you're playing a zombie at a zombie survival game and someone pulls this on you and you're 10 feet away and you can literally see the dart, it's like, yeah, my character's surely done for. You're gonna see the darts coming at you just before your life comes to an end. What do we call this thing? What do we call it? It's ever so cute, isn't it? I mean, considering I took about 3 inches off the barrel. Inches is about 10, 11. Approximately, let's call it 11 inches. Full blast to 11 inches. And that's going to do some damage. If you're if you're crewing and someone does pull this on you from, hidden from under their trench coat, and you're literally 10 feet away and you think, yeah, I've got this character's gonna be in trouble now, and then they pull this out and it's like, oh no, I'm screwed. The character's gonna survive this encounter. Jeez, that looks good. When I painted this up, it's gonna look even better. When I filled in putty inside there and there, rounded it off with a belt sander, touched up the edges and scrubbed it up, spray paint it. Yeah, this is going to look pretty damn good. I have to figure a new word of what this blaster is going to be actually called. It is very diddy and cute though, but it still works. You have to flick it a little bit. It's obviously lost a bit of its forward weight now, so when you pull that back, you have to flick it forward to open the breech now, but still, it works. Yeah. Right, so what I've done here, I got some putty, a hardware store, took the blaster apart and filled in that space with the putty. So that's now filled in. So I cut off a whole section, like an inch and a half worth of putty, mixed it together, spent about 10 minutes mixing it, and just pushed it in there. Made sure it was filled in all the gaps on the inside, and then used a knife, just a kitchen knife, to make it flat. So it's flattened off, like that. And what I'm going to do is hit it with some sandpaper. Right now it's square, it's perfectly squared off. So I'll hit it with a belt sander all around that underside edge, just to round it off and make it more rounded. And then I will spray paint that separately, and I'll put this back together and spray paint that and do it separately so it's easier to do. Right, originally the shells that came with it were bright green. I painted them. I painted them in metallic copper colours, so now they look like shells. So these now represent the large caliber, like hunting rifle shells that it shoots. I just painted matte black on the inside of them. So after I'd finished painting them, the inside of them still showed up as green on camera. So I just took some acrylic brushing paint and I just painted the inside of them in black so that they don't show up as green on camera when the rifle's being reloaded. So when the rifle's shooting large caliber shells, this is what it's shooting. Plus, these are the toy shotgun shells that came with my double-barreled shotgun that I use for my Army of Darkness projects. These are the toy shells that came with that double-barreled shotgun. So I painted the back end of these, because these were just grey. So I painted them in metallic colours as well, so they look better on camera. Oh yes, they fit. They fit this blaster. The shell that came with my double-barreled Army of Darkness boomstick fits this blaster. So I've got the best of both worlds, so I can show an actor loading it with ordinary 12 gauge shotgun shells or the large caliber rifle shells. So I can have a variety of different ammunition being used, you know. Unfortunately it doesn't eject them because they're not quite long enough. On the inside of the breech you can see the levers, the spring-loaded levers that eject the shells. They're not quite long enough. Actually just a tiny tad shorter, just like half a centimetre shorter, so they don't push down those levers to eject them. But still, never mind. When I'm filming a scene, I can show the actor loading it with shotgun shells or large caliber, like big game hunting shells. Either in a Mad Max post-apocalyptic type movie or a Blade Runner kind of cyberpunk movie genre. Either way, it works. Right, so that's the barrel now. That works. It's flat. I just cut it off flat with a knife. That works. Hit it with a belt sander. Now it's ever so slightly rounded off, so it's no longer a sharp corner on the underside where the blue plastic part meets the putty. It's no longer a straight edge, it's now rounded off. So I hit it with sandpaper again to get rid of the rough edges and make it smoother. No one's going to notice the tiny indiscrepancies. That's about its focus now. No one's going to notice the minor indiscrepancies there, but it is rounded off. It'll do. No one's going to see it on camera unless it's like right here in front of the camera, right? So when that's painted up, that's going to look pretty good. Well, that works out. That works out pretty damn good. That actually looks pretty good right there. I did it in chrome, I did the barrels in chrome, and then a very fine mist of gunmetal grey on the back half of it, so there's now a gradient. So it's darker at the back and then lighter, like brighter chrome at the front. And gave it the same paint job as my other one. It kind of has this Blade Runner feel to it now, because I did it in brown. What I did was a very fine mist of primer, then a very fine mist of red, then a very fine mist of primer, then red, then primer, then red, and so forth, until it came up with this perfect kind of, it's not too red and not too grey, it's kind of a mild brown, speckled effect, and making sure it matches up to my other blaster that I did before, the other one. So that works. Yeah, so here's the back end of it, and had to make sure that they match up for continuity, and they do. It definitely has a Blade Runner feel to it. Just because of the design of it, I guess, because of the aesthetics of it. That looks really nice. That looks really good. That's a new way of doing a kind of a brownish tinge, just using red and primer grey, very fine mist, very fine controlled mist. I'm doing one layer at a time, making sure I don't go too far with it. And I got that just looks right. Looks pretty good. So now I think it's time to put it back together. I don't know what this is going to be called, because it's like the word hand cannon is definitely not a powerful enough word to describe what this is going to be. I have to think about what it's actually going to be called when it's finished. Yeah, I'll definitely need to make a new word for what this is called. You kind of blaster.
because I turned it into a Sawnoff of a Sawnoff, it needs to have a whole new word to be invented for it. The word hand cannon gets thrown around a lot, and that's not a powerful enough word for it. So someone out there will have to help me find a new word to describe what it's actually called. So here's the difference between the two. Yeah, quite considerable cut down. Quite a lot of barrel cut away from it right there. Yeah, it looks interesting now. Yeah. Yeah, the size difference in the barrels, because the barrel's cone shaped anyway. So now the barrel is way more bigger and looks way more dangerous. Yeah, wielding these at an event or convention or something, you know, yeah, that's an interesting look right there. So I made both of them pretty much identical, giving it a Blade Runner makeover. And they said, like, this could be like a secret weapon, this could be like the last resort kind of weapon, stashed away, hidden under a jacket, and someone pulls this out as their last resort, final stand kind of backup weapon. It kind of makes sense to have this hidden away somewhere. So now it's time to see the mandatory beauty close-up shots of these two blasters. hope you liked this video, and I hope you liked seeing what I've done with this amazing double-barreled Sawnoff Mad Max shell ejecting blaster. And thanks for watching.